Hi everyone, so today we're going to be going through a 2020 election prediction between Donald Trump from New York and Mike Revelle from Alaska. So if you're probably one of the many people who don't know who Mike Revelle is, so Mike Revelle is a former Alaska senator uh, in the 80s, I believe, two-term senator. He has launched an exploratory committee for president, or it might have been a full committee. I don't know. He's run for president in 2008, which is once before. In 2008, obviously against Clinton and Obama and Biden and Murphy and all those people who ran in 08. Didn't have much success, but now he's back for another go at it in 2020. His one thing that's important to note is that he actually doesn't want to be president. He's not running in this race to be president. He's running to move the conversation. He's running to move the Overton window further to the left, and drive the debate, probably push people like Bernie Sanders further to the left, push people like Elizabeth Warren further to the left, push people like Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, Marianne Williamson. I don't even know if she qualified for the debates anyway. But she would push people. She would probably push Beto O'Rourke. To the left, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Joe Biden, Kirsten Gillibrand, all the candidates who are running, Jay Inslee, he would probably push all of those candidates further to the further to the left of the political spectrum. Sorry, I forgot to cover this. I've been meaning to cover it. A few more people have announced they run for president. Mike Revelle, obviously, but also there's a congressman from Ohio, Tim Ryan, who announced he was going to run. He was actually the person who challenged Nancy Pelosi for the House Speaker election for the Democrats in 2016. Tim California, we have Eric Swalwell, who is running. Eric Swalwell, not very well known. He announced on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. But yeah, Eric Swalwell and Tim Ryan, two new congressmen who are running for president, and then of course Mike Revelle, who's kind of half in, half out, because he doesn't actually want to be president. He's just running to move the conversation further to the left. So Mike Revelle, something to note about him, he is very, 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 very progressive, much further to the left than people like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, way further to the left than Elizabeth Warren, and off the spectrum compared to Beto O'Rourke, Joe Biden, etc. His campaign website has many detailed policies, which I think would help him in a potential primary. But yes, Mike Revelle versus Donald Trump will be going through this 2020 election prediction, even though it would never happen. So, Mike Revelle, he would obviously win Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Alaska, his home state. I would put that in the safe column. As well, in New Mexico, that one would move in the safe column. Illinois, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, the District of Columbia, all moves into the safe column for Revelle. New York as well. 190 electoral votes for Mike Revelle. As for Donald Trump, he would win Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, most of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma. Kansas actually could get interesting. I'll leave that. Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Indiana. So 103 electoral votes for Donald Trump. That's not great news. 190 electoral votes for Mike Revelle. Sorry about that. But Mike Revelle, I think he would do very well in this election, I think. So, a Democrat from Alaska, not necessarily someone who you would think of. He won both of his elections quite resoundingly. Mike Revelle would obviously win Alaska. I also see him winning some of these Great Plains states that traditionally vote Republicans. So, sorry, not in the Great Plains, but in the Rust Belt. So, Ohio, I think, would move into the leaning Democratic column. I think he would be able to appeal to the voters there well. Pennsylvania moves into the likely Democratic column. Michigan in the likely Democratic column. Wisconsin in the likely Democratic column. Minnesota in the safe Democratic column. and Iowa in the leaning Democratic column. So that officially puts McGravel over the line at 270 electoral votes. Obviously, he would win New Mexico and obviously he would win Nevada and Colorado. Arizona, I don't think he would do as well appealing to these voters. Again, Democratic voters overwhelmingly turned down a progressive challenger to Kirsten Sinema in the 2018 primaries. And Kirsten Sinema, who is a conservative Democrat by any standards, was elected there as the next Arizona senator. So Arizona's not necessarily all pleased about going all in for a full-fledged socialist. I don't know if Gravel calls himself a socialist, but I would expect he will, since Sanders calls himself a democratic socialist and he's far to the left of Bernie Sanders. So Texas, that one moves narrowly into the Trump column. Again, I think Gravel could appeal to rural voters, but I don't think he'll get out the base enough to get him over the line in the state of Texas. The state of Kansas, that one, again, I think it's just a bit too far for Gravel to be able to win in today's political climate. But again, in that 2nd district of Nebraska, that one wouldn't necessarily be all that difficult for Gravel to win. So we have Montana, Arizona, Missouri, what's that state again? New Hampshire, sorry, having a blackout. Maine, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. So let's go through this. Montana, again, I think it's just a bit too far in today's political climate for me to feel comfortable to give it over towards Donald Trump. In the state of Missouri, again, they turned down a Democrat there in Claire McCaskill in the 2018 Senate elections by quite a wide margin, more than was expected. It was, I think, expected that the Republican might narrowly take McCaskill's seat, but not by that margin. So Trump wins in Missouri. His approval rating is not too bad there either. The state of Maine, I see Mike Gravel winning all of those congressional districts. The 1st district, putting in the safe column, 2nd in the leaning column, and Maine at large in the likely column. I think he would do well appealing to the progressive voters there. State of New Hampshire, that one moves into the leaning Democratic column. Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, and Arizona are the remaining states. Okay, so the state of Virginia, I don't think it would be hard for Gravel to capture that. It's been a Democratic state for a while now. The state of North Carolina, okay, there we go. State of North Carolina, I see that one being relatively competitive. I could see Gravel narrowly taking it because I think he would do just enough to get him over the line there. But in Georgia, I don't think it's enough in today's political climate to push him over the top in Georgia, unless Stacey Abrams runs. If Stacey Abrams runs on the Senate and Mike Gravel runs for president, I could see them both flipping the state of Georgia to blue, but not right now. In the state of Florida, if North Carolina's going, Florida's probably going as well. And then in Arizona, I'm going to leave that one as a pure toss-up because I don't think Gravel would do very well appealing to conservatives there. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. So 351 electoral votes for Gravel, 176 for Trump, 11 with the state of Arizona in the undecided column. Thank you for watching this video. Comment down your suggestions below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.